All right, so we're gonna go over fundamentals of defense, part one. So in general, there's two types of defense. You have passive and active. Passive defense is your head movement that is not choreographed. You just generally move your head. The easiest form of head movement is good footwork, but I have a whole other video about that. And active defense is when you're actually doing something specifically to engage your opponent's punches or kicks or whatever. And remember, most importantly, that the purpose of defense is to enable a better offense. So, passive and active defenses. Active defenses and passive defenses both include head movements. Now, if you're doing that head movement as a specific reaction or as a deliberate reaction to an action of your opponent, that makes it active. If you're just generally moving your head because you're a sound fighter and you don't want your opponent to be able to get a beat on your timing, that's passive. So, these are the most basic forms of head movement that we've got right here. I'm gonna have there should be in one of the corners of the screen, I don't know which one yet, an example video of each one of these that I'm gonna try to nest inside of this video. So, firstly, we have slips. And if you look here, you see the angular nature of the movement. So it's two straight lines that you're gonna move in. Next, we have head rolls, sometimes known as a bob and weave. And if you look here, you can see that that is actually in a U-shaped motion of the head. We've got the pullback, which is where you just use your back leg and you bend the back leg and it pulls your head back. And then we've got a duck, which is really not a duck because a duck is usually a type of lean. And this is a squat, whereby you're going to bend both knees and lower your head at generally the same rate. And I know some idiot out there is gonna be like, that's not a squat technically. I don't care, shut up. So, the most important things with particularly the slips and the rolls is that these are foot-oriented movements. What does that mean? You're gonna get a crisper movement when you do your slip or your roll if you pivot your foot while you're doing it. And again, I'll have another little video somewhere in the bottom of the screen that shows you which foot pivots when you move your head in which direction, because it isn't entirely intuitive for people who don't have experience. All right, so then what are the body and the hands doing as an element of defense? So these are all going to be active activities. So first are the parries, and you've got inside-outside parries that you do with your arm and your elbow. And they can either be linear parries, where the parry comes straight across the body, or they can be hooking parries, or sometimes you'll hear circular parries. And what those do is they try to hit on one side and then move the opponent's fist out of the way. And then you've got the catch, which you're gonna use for straight punches. I don't believe in cross blocks. I am a same side block only, and I like to same side counter, but that's gonna be in part two. Body rolls, and this is basically when you roll your entire body either into the punch to try to choke the power on it, or you roll your body out of the punch to try to evade it or to take some of the power out of the punch from your opponent. And then lastly, we just have a general block, and that is you're going to absorb the punch, usually in conjunction with a roll. And it just means you're gonna put something in the way so that that's gonna get hit rather than either a scoring target area or a sensitive area on your body. Now, when you think about defense, you need to think about defensive efficiency in the same way that you think about offensive efficiency. Anything that's gonna make you accrue more damage is less efficient, because every amount of that damage that you receive is going to have an effect on your mental and your physical ability to evade your opponent. That being the case, evasion is more efficient than absorption. So what does that mean? That means if you can get your head away from the opponent or your body away from the opponent, that's more efficient than absorbing the damage that they're going to give you if they make contact. I know that's kind of obvious, but there are fighters out there who are absolutely fond of just walking into punches And while some people have a physical proclivity to being able to do that, not everybody does. And there are some very successful fighters out there with glass chins. And those people are just going to benefit from receiving less damage than more. And arguably, it's the same for all fighters. And I know there's going to be detractors in the comments who are going to try to tell me how stupid I am, but that's just the way physiology works. And it should be obvious. But unfortunately, boxing and the boxing world, and more importantly, or more specifically, the boxing coaching world, is full of frauds. And it's just a nest of vipers of people who are trying to take your money while giving you very little in return. So that's part of the reason why I'm doing this. Anyway, this has been Defensive Fundamentals Part 1. Thanks for watching.